All right, welcome everybody. Everyone's joining right now. Thanks for joining me. This is Eric Waymeyer. I've got Tim on the line here as well. He's going to be moderating this meeting. Appreciate you guys joining us for this webinar introducing Express Maintenance. I see we have some veterans on here. Got Chester Brown, Jim Bogansky, Sherry Green. Excellent. Good to see you guys. Kelly, good to see you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is being recorded, and the layout of today and every other webinar that we're going to have every other week from now on is going to be, it'll start out as a recorded session where you guys will be, your mics and videos, everything will be cut off for the first 30 minutes. And then I'll do the presentation, and then we will open it up for a discussion. Tim, my partner in crime here, is going to take questions during the demo or during the presentation. There is a Q&A menu button at the top of the Teams meeting menu where you can start to ask questions. They can be related to this presentation or unrelated, doesn't matter. We want to save 30 minutes at the end of every presentation for a Q&A session because, and it doesn't have to be about this presentation. It can be about any issues that you guys are having. And if we find out that it's going to take more than a couple minutes to discuss it and come up with a solution, then we'll probably take that conversation offline another time. So without any further ado, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section, and we will get started. So Express Maintenance. Express Maintenance is a computerized maintenance management software. It's been around since 1996. Maintenance management software is absolutely critical to your to achieving your business and operational goals surrounding maintenance, performance, asset reliability, engineering your maintenance and continuous improvement projects. It's critical to making sure that you have your maintenance standardized, your safety program standardized and automated. You want to be able to treat Express Maintenance and CMMS like a maintenance brain. Basically, you load all of your knowledge, your assets, your parts, your services, your tribal knowledge, your OEM manuals, all of that goes into this system, and then it kicks out work orders, preventive maintenance work orders, or services, or quality checks, or inspections, or however you want, whatever you want to call them. And at the end of the day, you have something that is reminding you when your services are being done, so that you can be more proactive with your maintenance and over time less reactive. So I'm going to jump into the software here. So what you're looking at right now is our cloud version of Express Maintenance. Not everybody is aware, but we do have a cloud version. We've had one now for about 3.5 years, and we are moving to a web version. And it doesn't matter if we host you in our cloud servers or you host you on your servers locally, the web version is coming. In fact, I'll give you a little sneak preview. It's what it's going to look like. We've already done this for our requests. This is going to be live for all of our customers at the 1st of January. It's going to replace Express Request Desktop next year, but this is going to be available to all of our customers very soon. But this is the cloud version. And like I said, when it comes to a maintenance management software, in order for it to function for you properly, I want you guys to think about your maintenance management software like a vehicle. And you want to get from point A to point B. And in order to do that, it has to be functioning properly. It has to be well maintained. It has to be set up correctly. And what we find in a lot of our health checks that we do with our customers is as we review their database and their setup, there's a lot of things that are prohibiting our customers from being successful with their maintenance management software because it just wasn't set up correctly. And that's like trying to take this vehicle where you want to go, but it only has 3 wheels, or it's missing a steering wheel, or you forgot to put gas in it. And that's extremely frustrating to have a vehicle that is supposed to get you from point A to point B, and it can't, and you're not sure why. So one of the things that motivated this webinar series is we really buckled down and met with a lot of you guys this last year doing health checks where we do a screen share of your setup and give you some free tips and tricks and pointers on how to get more out of it. And we realized that there are some common themes that are preventing people from being successful in their asset management. And that's what motivated the webinar series. So the first thing that we have here is your maintenance tab where you have your equipment. Something you guys are familiar with. Most of you, I don't know all of you. If this is your first introduction, great. We do have some videos on our YouTube channel that you can look at as well. But this is your asset. So you have all your header equipment information up here. Anything that you would find on one of your metallic stickers, your manufacturer codes, things like that. But then down here is where you enter all of your customized data. So your services or your PMs get listed here, and you can even assign parts to that service, so that part automatically shows up on the work order. And whatever the scheduled date is here is when that work order will kick off. And then you have attachments. Attachments can be an OEM manual. It can be another piece of equipment. So you can attach and build parent-child relationships, or you can attach actual documents. Excuse me. Oh, I've got whatever's going around here in Middle Tennessee. And then you have your parts list. So you can put your list of materials here, which are really nice when your technicians are trying to complete work orders and they know they need a part, but they're not sure which part to use. They can come back here and see, okay, it's this part, and here's where it's at, shelf and bin, and they can find it. Then you have your service history, your work order history, your downtime, your accounts history, and a lot of other information. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So that is your equipment. Next thing that you want to take a look at is your parts. Another critical component to your maintenance management software is having your parts. Why is that critical? Because if your end goal of having a maintenance management software is just to check some boxes that you did your PMs, then fine. Maybe you don't need your parts. But if you're actually trying to create a continuous improvement plan, if you are wanting to track your total cost to maintain, then you need to have your parts so that you can evaluate what parts were used in the last several work orders. Maybe it's a parts issue when you're doing your root cause analysis. If you don't add your parts to work orders, then you're not calculating your parts cost as part of your total cost to maintain. And so parts are absolutely critical. And so this is your parts screen. Again, your parts information up here. You can actually assign a specific cabinet, shelf and bin, your startup quantity, your quantity on hand, min max. And then same thing here, you can have attachments. You can see what equipment that part is used on. If I jump to that equipment, then I can also see the parts. So it's a two-way street there. And then you can see your receiving history and your usage history. All right, and then the last thing, the last leg to this three-legged stool is your services. When it comes to services, different CMMSs present this a different way. But in our system, everything that you can do to an asset needs to be put in as a service. So your preventive maintenance, your repairs, your predictive maintenance, your lube maintenance, any capital projects, anything that you can do to an asset needs to be listed here, because whether it's on an asset where you want to assign a PM, or it's a work order where you want to assign a demand service like replacing a belt, all of those, this drop down is populated by this services menu. Now, getting into this services specifically, your maintenance management software is only as useful as the information you put into it. And so if you have a really weak PM work instruction, then you're going to get really weak PMs. If you have a really strong PM work instruction with checks and boxes and part numbers and just letting your technicians know what are they looking for and what are the parameters that we need to be keeping, then that's going to help you in the long run. And kind of our philosophy on it when we train is the newest person, newest technician at your facility should be able to handle a PM because it has the equipment, where the equipment's located, when it's due, is it online or offline, what parts are required for it, and what are the exact work instructions. As long as they have some technical capability and any experience doing maintenance or PM whatsoever, you should be able to hand them your PM program and then reserve all of the demand maintenance, all of the high technical stuff for your most seasoned veteran technicians in order to keep things operating. So once you've created your services, you assign them to equipment. Now you have a PM program that is ready to go. And the way that it works, and I'm going to speak to the way that the software operates now, although some of you have been customers for quite a long time. I don't know if your system has been transitioned to this setup or not. But the way that I teach people and the way that I demo the software now is once you have your PMs set up as a service on an asset and you have your schedule date, I have it turned on to where those services, when they come due, automatically become a work order. For some of you, you guys are having to go to the service overview, and then from the service overview, select which services are due and then convert those to a work order. Well, you can automate that now. Excuse me. And so you can automate that to where it automatically becomes a work order. And then you're just working off your work order overview. And the work order overview is kind of your headquarters of operations for maintenance. This should tell you what work orders are scheduled, which ones have been completed, who has work orders assigned to them, where it's at in their workflow, what their priority is, what services are required, how many estimated labor hours. All of that is on this screen. So this is kind of where you do your planning and scheduling. And then you have your air dryer. This is a work order for the air dryer. Let's go down to this one. Okay, so this is a conveyor belt that has a conveyor belt monthly offline PM. I can see the work instructions right here. In this case, somebody put a table together, so that's nice. And I can see that it's been scheduled for 12/8/2023. It's a planned or proactive work order. It's preventive maintenance, and it's currently scheduled. Okay, so go back to the work order overview. And you can see over here we have different classes being it needs reviewed, we need to order parts, we're waiting on parts, it's ready to schedule, it's scheduled, we need to schedule it with production, and it's pending manager's review. Some people like it to where after they complete a work order, they can move it to pending manager's review. And then once the manager has reviewed it, they move it to completed. And that way they have their audits, internal audits and spot checks. So in this particular work order is for an air dryer. It's to replace a belt. And here's a belt that needs to be replaced. We see the quantity there. The labor estimate has not been entered. We recommend that you do. If it's going to take an hour, you put an hour. And then whenever the technician goes to complete that work order, well, when they open up the work order, they can see, okay, this should take me about an hour. And then when they go to close it, they're putting in their actual labor. And so comparing that estimated versus actual is actually really helpful, and we have a report for that. So then once you have your planned maintenance work orders and your demand maintenance work orders, closing them is really simple. And there's two different ways to close them. You can close them from within the desktop or within the mobile application. And the desktop view is really simple. You just make sure you write any technician notes here. So add tech notes. You can attach any attachments. These are documents, invoices from vendors, anything that would be associated with the work order. You can put an electronic copy of it and attach it to the work order. Parts, just make sure that the quantity and the part is correct. Service, you're going to put your actual labor hours. Make sure the technician is correct. And then all I'm going to do is go complete the entire work order. And you'll notice it's going to fill in the completed date and time. It's going to tell me that the service was performed on this date and time. It's also going to consume the part from inventory, and that work order is now closed. If this work order had downtime, then I would want to go ahead and add my downtime by just simply putting what time it went down. We'll say it was an hour ago. And what time it goes up. Now, save it. It calculates that downtime to the 4th decimal. And now I have a downtime record. Okay. So now think about the implications here. I uploaded my equipment, my parts, my services. And then I automated those PMs to where now whenever they come due, they're just showing up as a work order. I plan and schedule those work orders and assign them to my technicians. My technician can pull up any work order assigned to them for that day, see how long it's supposed to take them, see what work instructions they have assigned to them, what parts are required, and they complete the work order. Now, you have service history that shows labor cost, parts cost. You have data like the time that it was scheduled or versus the time it got completed. And so now you can capture information like mean time between failure, mean time to repair, total cost to maintain. And all of these KPIs, these performance indicators are helpful when trying to figure out how do we justify hiring more people next year? Well, if you don't know how much you're spending, if you don't know how many actual labor hours your PM program takes, then it's really hard to try to justify that. If you know in your gut that the equipment it'd be better just to rebuild or replace an asset as opposed to just maintaining it and spending all the money that you have on it breaking down, but you don't have any data to support that, then you're probably not being taken seriously. And the maintenance management software gives you the information you need to be able to do that. So let's go back to a planned preventive maintenance. Here's that conveyor assigned to me. It's scheduled, ready to be performed. Parts, there's 2 of those that are needed. Labor estimates, we'll say it was 2 hours and it took me 4, and there's no downtime on the PM. So that PM is done. And now what's going to happen is that PM gets marked off as complete and it's a monthly PM. So based on how I have it set up, it'll either reschedule for a month from today or a month from the day that it was originally scheduled. And it will show up in my work order overview as being due. So that is how that system works. Once you have your equipment, parts, and services added, the rest should be very, very simple. And speaking of simple, I want to show you guys now the Express Maintenance mobile application. Hopefully you guys have seen this by now. We've been sending out emails to everybody, just highlighting or sharing some YouTube videos of how the new mobile app works. All right, share my screen. Start. There it is. Let this pull up. All right. So here is the Express Maintenance mobile application. And you'll notice that you have your work orders, requests, equipment, parts, purchases, and receiving. And by the way, along with the requests screen that I showed you earlier, there's going to be a web light version of Express Maintenance that comes out in early January, early to mid-January, that has all of these same functions, look and feel. So you can launch this from any web browser if you're in the cloud as well. So keep that in mind. But here I can access my work orders that are assigned to me. If I want to do a search by technician, I can find somebody else's work orders if I'm given permission to do so. If I hit show more here, it's going to show me more details. If I want to actually see the details of the work order, then here they are. This is a general info tab. This would be like the header section in Express Maintenance on the desktop version. But I can see my equipment, when it was scheduled, started, completed, what category, group, and class it is, its priority, the technician, what work group, all of the same pertinent information that you would expect to find. And then here's the actual services. Now this is a demand service, so it's just a belt replace. Here's the part. If that's the wrong part, I'll delete that. And then it's gathering data. Come back. All right, I'm going to add another part. And I want to use the barcode feature. And so my phone just grabs the barcode from my phone's camera, reads it and pulls that in. So if you have your parts barcoded, which you can print barcodes right out of Express Maintenance for all your parts and your equipment, and you can use the mobile app to scan those things to find them more quickly and avoid data entry or putting in the wrong part or something like that. So we're going to put in quantity 1 and save it. And then I'm going to delete this one. Yeah, it's getting stuck there. Now it's really stuck. There we go. And then the same thing on the work order notes. You can type in notes here. You can also add images. So this can be something a picture I take from my camera, or I've already taken the picture and I just upload it from my photos. What that does is it uploads those to the work order notes inside Express Maintenance. And so I can look for planned work orders, demand work orders, and close those work orders right from my phone. And then as a technician, I just look up the next job and go right to the next one. So if you're trying to go paperless, if you're trying to increase your efficiency, if you're trying to increase wrench time, if you're wondering, man, how can I get an extra 8 hours a week, 10 hours, 12 hours a week out of my team? Because we'd love to hire somebody, but we don't have that approved right now. You can increase your labor force efficiency significantly with this mobile application and get a lot more done in a shorter period of time, and effectively increasing your efficiency. So that's the work order section. You can also submit, you can also view all the work order requests that have come in from requesters. And to convert this request to a work order is as simple as opening up the request, viewing it, and at the bottom of your screen, you'll see convert to work order. Once I've converted it to a work order, that button now becomes a go to work order button. So I click on go to work order, and now I can, there we go, finish filling out this work order. Category, demand, group, it's a mechanical breakdown, class. I'm not sure, it needs reviewed, needs to go through troubleshooting. Priority, it's a high value asset. Technician, me, work group, maintenance, and nothing else there. The service was already selected when the technician requested the request, or when the operator requested the request, excuse me. But now I can go ahead and add my part. It's a belt, so I'm going to type in belt. There's all the belts that I have. Select this one, put in the quantity, save it, and now I'm ready to complete the work order. Or it's set as, in the status, it's set as needs reviewed. So whoever does the reviewing of work orders does the troubleshooting, whether it's me later or somebody else later. I can just leave it there, and now I have a captured work order from a request. And then last but not least, I can view my equipment. So here's a list of all my equipment. When I go to the equipment, I can actually view the equipment details, and I can view work order history. Here's every work order that's ever been performed. And I can also view my parts makeup, my parts list. Okay. And then I can do the same thing with parts, view the parts details. And then you can create purchase orders and receiving documents. I'm going to skip over that for now, just for time's sake. What I want to show you is the dashboard. What the dashboard shows me is what work orders are due today, which ones I've completed in the last 7 days, how many of those are demand work orders, and how many are overdue. So I can click on that overdue, and it shows me the 2 work orders that are currently overdue. Hit edit, and I'm going to complete the work order. Make sure I edit and put my actual time in. The parts is correct. Very good. That one's done. Go on to the next one, and I need to add my service hours onto this one. No parts were required, so I'm going to complete that work order too. And now those are done. So now I have 0 overdue. I can also see this in calendar view. So if I click on my calendar, I can see what work orders are due on the days that I have selected. And again, just click on the pencil to go into those work orders. Okay, so that's all I'm going to be able to have time to show you today. There is another piece that is the parts inventory management. In Express Maintenance, you can run a reorder report on your parts that have met their minimums. You can purchase to your minimums or your maximums and actually create a purchase order and send it to a vendor right from Express Maintenance. And then when those parts come in and you get that invoice with it, you can create a receiving record inside Express Maintenance that will, when you have entered the receiving record and the parts that you've received, it increases those parts quantity on hand by the amount that you received, effectively keeping your parts inventory up to 95%, as long as everybody's using the system. So that's about 30 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we are going to open up the floor for questions. And I'm going to let Tim start by bringing up any questions that came up during the actual demonstration. So give me just a second.